Hey there, everybody. I wanted to talk about a very common problem I see among my students, and it has to do with Gitignore. And so this is a perfect example of the problems you can have with Gitignore. I have a student who was able to get Gitignore onto his project, but he got it on it too late. And so let me demonstrate what I mean. Well, first of all, if you look at this, let's take a look at the history of the commits. The initial commit had basically a README file. Okay, nothing wrong with starting with a README file in your first commit. No big deal. Let's go back a step. And then on the second, it says technically first commit. And in this commit, I wanted to show you, it has showing 13,303 changed files with 2 million additions and 0 deletions. The diff you're trying to view is too large. We only load the first 3,000 changed files. So that is where the problem was. And then if you go back here, finally, after all of those thousands of files was the Gitignore. Gitignore works only if you do it before you try committing everything else. So this Gitignore was added too late. There is a solution for this, and so I went ahead and I downloaded this project in Git. And let me show you how I would address this. First of all, I'm just going to show you that the first thing you're going to want to do is, one, you're going to want to make sure you keep all your files. Number two, you're going to want to get rid of the Hidden Git Folder. This is the history of the project. You have to basically start the Git process all over again, but it's okay. You don't have to do anything different about the files that you do have. First thing is, you may or may not see that Hidden Git folder. Now, I had done a clone to bring in this project, so when I did the clone, I put this under version control, but then technically this was his. You want to make sure you go to view and you have it set to view hidden items. I don't know how to do that in Mac, but you definitely need that in if you're doing Windows. That's how you would set it. It's under view hidden items. You got to find that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, I'm going to delete that. So I got rid of that. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to delete this one too. So this is, it doesn't really hurt anything. You can see that all the files are still there. And from here on out, I'm going to work off of this folder. So Git is all gone. I'm going to right click and do a Git bash here. And the first thing you're going to notice there, it's not under Git version control anymore. So now I'm going to do a Git init. So I'm going to initialize it. Now I'm going to do a Git status, and first of all, I want to just show a couple things that we have here. I want to go back to this project, and I want to just show you that you have this library, logs, packages, etc. If you look at the Gitignore, library is supposed to be ignored. Logs is supposed to be ignored. It's not being ignored. That's the first hint that the Gitignore is not working right, because you can see library and logs. Those never need to be tracked. You don't need those. You don't need CSPROJ files. Those don't need to be tracked. But if you look here, you'll notice you don't see those. You don't see the library, you don't see the logs folder. That's because when I initialized this Git repository, it already had the Gitignore file. So the real trick is you just got to have that Gitignore file in place before you do any commits. Now, if you want to break apart the commits and you want to do it that way, that's a good way to do it. I would do a git add.gitignore, and then I would commit that. Adding Gitignore, and then put that in there, and then you could just do the rest. Git add star, just gonna save some time here. Git add dot, git add dot doesn't give you those warnings, so you can do either one. It's gonna work, but if you don't like to see all those warnings, just do the git add dot instead. And then we're gonna do a git commit -m adding remaining initial files. And if you want to add more on there, you can. Okay, so at this point, now it's added all of that, and so we have it in place. Now the last step, and I can't do this is not my project. If it were my project, I would actually go in and I would delete this one on here. And I can show you what that looks like. So let me go ahead and grab one of my other GitHub tutorials. Okay, so here's mine. I just did this very simple hello world. Let's say I want to delete that. I'm going to want to go to settings, and I'm going to want to scroll down until I get to the danger zone. I can hear the music right now, and you want to delete this repository. And you're going to have to actually either type that out, or you can right click, copy, paste it in. Now I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to delete it, but that's how you would delete it. Then you'd go through the process of creating your repository online by creating a new repository and then go through the rest yourself. So the real key here is make sure your Gitignore file is in before you commit anything. Always get that Gitignore file in there first. First thing you must do. All right, well, I hope that helps, and take care and stay tuned for more.